Good day everyone, I am Edwin Galendez. So this video is serve as the recap for my discussion last meeting. So unfortunately there's a technical error in my video. So this is my a recap for our discussion. So, my topic is all about a literature under the Spanish colonization. But before that, we must know first the Spanish colonization. So, in 1565 to 1898 is known as the Spanish colonial period, during which the Philippine Island were ruled as the Captaincy General of the Philippines within the Spanish East Indies. So, how long did Spain colonize the Philippines? It is more than 300 years from 1565 to 1898. So, the question is, why did Spain colonize the Philippines? So, to acquire a share in the spice trade and to develop contacts with China and Japan in order to further Christianity missionaries effort there. And lastly, rather, and to convert the Filipinos to Christianity. Okay, let's proceed. Literature under the Spanish colonization. Spanish colonization. Philippine literature was born in Spanish. Of course, yes. Spanish colonization, the work of Rizal, the best known Filipino writer and national hero, are a result of this intercultural process. So, Dr. Jose Rizal is one of the Filipino writer who have contribute different literature during the Spanish colonization. So, some of the examples of the literature was created by Jose Rizal is Noli Tangere and El Filibusterismo, which is my center of the topic. So, here's the description of the both literature of Jose Rizal, which is the Noli and El Filibusterismo. So, Noli is a love story. So, Noli is all about a love story or a romantic novel dedicated to our motherland, while El Filibusterismo is a political novel associated with revenge and anger and is dedicated to Gumburza. So, who is the Gumburza? Gumburza refers to the three priests. So, let's proceed. Noli Tangere by Dr. Jose P. Rizal. So, here's the description. In 1887, Rizal published his first novel, Noli Tangere, which means the social cancer. Noli Tangere means the social cancer, a passionate exposure of the devils of the Spanish role in the Philippines. So, okay, here's the characters in the Noli Tangere. Of Noli Tangere. First, we have Maria Clara. Who is Maria Clara? Known as Maria Clara de los Santos y Alva. So, Maria Clara, the epitome of purity and innocence. He is the epitome of purity and innocence. The representation of Maria Clara as demure and self-effacing post an ideal image of what a Filipina should be. So he is the a perfect image of a true Filipina. So we have the second character, Padre Damaso. Who is Padre Damaso? Known as Damaso Verdulagas. So, he is a Franciscan friar and the former parish curate of San Diego and the main antagonist of the story. He is the main antagonist. He is best known as the notorious character who speaks with harsh words and has been a cruel priest during his stay in the town. He is a priest, but he did have a um, unnecessary character. So, next character is Crisostomo Ibarra, also known as Juan Crisostomo Ibarra y Magsalin, an earnest and idealistic young man, the wealthy and liberal European educated Filipino. Crisostomo Ibarra is a Filipino Spanish and the only descendant of the wealthy Spaniard Don Rafael Ibarra, which is his father. He is also a Maria Clara Maria Clara's lover since childhood. Okay, let's proceed. Capitan Tiago, also known as Don Santiago de los Santos, is the only son of the wealthy trader in Malabon. Capitan Tiago, an influential businessman in San Diego and the father of Maria Clara. Capitan Tiago is the father of Maria Clara. Betrothing his daughter to Crisostomo Ibarra. Betrothing is giving or being associated with his with Crisostomo Ibarra to her daughter. So next is he symbolizes the rich Filipinos who oppress their fellow exchange of the influence and the riches that they might gain from their powerful association. So that's Capitan Tiago. Next is Elias. He is Ibarra's mysterious friend and ally. Elias made his first appearance as a pilot during a picnic of Ibarra and Maria Clara and her friends. Elias was a strong and loyal man. He is a friend of Crisostomo Ibarra. He devoted the last moment of his life to save the life of the person whom he believed was the only hope for the Filipinos to liberate themselves from their poor condition. So he is referring to Crisostomo Ibarra, which is Crisostomo Ibarra are the hope of the country to liberate themselves from the poor condition. So which is the from the Espanol. The setting of the story. Where did the story take place? So there's a lot of setting in the story, but there's a particular place that was the story was being take place. So particularly in San Diego town in Laguna. So let's proceed from the plot of the story. The plot of the story. So the plot revolves around Crisostomo Ibarra, mixed race, here of the wealthy clan, returning home from 7 years in Europe and filled with ideas on how to be better the lot of his countrymen. So, what is the story theme? So, the theme of the story is the main theme of the novel Noli are colonialism, religion, power revolution, reform, and education. Why? Because it explores various aspects of this theme, including the abuse of power and authority by the Spanish friars, and the oppression and exploitation of the Filipino people, the corrupt and oppressive nature of the colonial government, and the need for social reform and justice. Additionally, the novel delves into themes of love, nationalism, and the struggle of freedom and identity among the Filipino characters. So those are for the Noli Tangere. How about for the Filibusterismo? So let's proceed with the Filibusterismo by Dr. Jose Rizal. So, Filibusterismo is known as the reign of greed. So, in 1891, the reign of greed established his reputation as the leading spokesman of the Philippine reform movement. It served as the a reform movement, um, a reform movement. Through this literature, Crisostomo Ibarra write this literature to serve as the eye opener of his countrymen according to what are the Spanish are doing any malicious things to any um, countrymen in the Philippines. So let's proceed to the characters of the story. El Filibusterismo. First, we have Simon or Simeon. He is a wealthy jeweler and is sometimes referred to us as Jewish due to stereotyping. Simon, he has close ties to the Captain General and Spanish governor of the Philippines. A better, ruthless man set on vengeance. So, next is Isagani, Basilio's friend, a poet, taller and more robust than Basilio, although younger. Isagani, he is the nephew of Padre Florentino, but he also but is also rumored to be his son with his old heart with his old sweetheart before priesthood. One of the members of the student organization attempting to establish the Castilian Academy. So, next character is Basilio, the innocents who have been wrongly accused of the crime they did not commit. Basilio was born the son of Sisa in San Diego sometime in 1871. He is an optimistic and hopeful individual in spite of the hardships he faced. He is a young boy living in San Diego and the older brother of Crispin. Next is Kabisang Talis. Who is Kabisang Talis? Also known as Telesforo Juan de Dios, struggling to gain ownership of the land He tilled. He eventually abandoned his family to join a group bandits. So, becoming feared throughout the um, province as Matang Lawin. Bandits means a group of people who commits crime and any unnecessary things. So, that's the bandits means. So, let's proceed to Kabisang Taliso. He symbolized the natives and farmers whose lands were seized by the friars. He is a father of Julie. So, who is Julie? Julie, also known as Juliana de Dios, was a resident of San Diego and the daughter of Kabisang Talis. Julie is a girlfriend of Basilio and the youngest daughter of Kabisang Talis. Next is Padre Florentino, was the parish priest of the town of Tiani and the adoptive uncle of Isagani. He eventually came to shelter both Don Tiburcio and Simon from their respective threats. Next is Tandang Selo, father of Kabisang Talis and grandfather of Tano and Julie, a deer hunter and the later a broom maker. He and Talis took in the young, sick Basilio, who has then fleeing from the Guardia Civil. So, next character in the story is Binjay, a columnist for the Manila Spanish newspaper El Grito de la Integridad. Benjab, is his pen name and is an anagram of Ibanez. An alternate spelling of his last name is Ibanez. Next is Father Irene. He is a kind friar who is a friend of Filipino students. He supports the students who appeal to the government for an academy of Spanish language. Next is Padre Camora, was a friar with a particular predilection of young women. Julie, Basilio's fiancé and an object of Padre Camora's advances, preferred to jump to her death out of the convent window than to give in to the friar's intentions. Next is Doña Victorina, was an socialite and a friend of Capitan Tiago, the wife of Don Tiburcio. So next is Padre Camora, the last full parish priest of Tiani, San Diego's adjacent town, who has long-time desires for young women. He nearly raped Julie, causing the latter to commit suicide. Pepay, a showy girl, supposed to be a great friend of Dun Custodio. Next is Hermana Pinchang, the one among the rich folks of Tiani who lent Julie money to ransom Kabisang Talis from the bandits. In return, Julie will serve as her maid until the money was paid off. Next is Capitan Tiago. Capitan Tiago was an influential businessman in San Diego and the father of Maria Clara, betrothing his daughter to Crisostomo Ibarra. Next is Placido Plenitente, a student who excels in education and is very smart, yet isn't recognized by anyone. His name Placido means quiet, and he's Plenitente. Don Custodio, known as Custodio de Salazar y Sanchez de Monteribund, famous contractor, who was tasked by the Captain General to develop the Students' Association's proposal for the Academy of the Teaching of Spanish. Next is Hermana Bali, portrayed as a cunning and manipulative woman and uses her wealth and power for her own selfishness and selfish interest. Next is Paulita Gomez, the niece of Duna Victorina and the sweetheart of Isagani. She is Paulita Gomez. Following Isagani's imprisonment, Paulita broke the relationship off and married Juanito instead. Father Fernandez, the priest friend of Isagani. He promised to Isagani that he and the other priest will give in to the students' demand. Next is Juanito Pilaes, Isagani's rival for Paulita Gomez, affection. He was the son of Timoteo Pilaes, a metalworks trader. Next is Tadeo, a truant and charlatan who regularly dreamed of an eternal holiday from school, but was all the same developed by professors and past courses. Next is Father Hernando de la Sibayla, a Dominican introduced in Noli Tangere as the curate of Binondo, who now serve as the director and chaplain of the University of Santo Tomas. Next is Father Bernardo Salve, a Franciscan friar that the former parish priest of San Diego and now the director and chaplain of the Santa Clara Convent. Next is Father Milon, a Dominican who served as the physics professor in the University of Santo Tomas. Next is Kiruga, a Chinese businessman who aspired to be a consul of China in the Philippines. Next is Tano. Tano, Kabisang Tali's son, second to Lucia who died in childhood. He was nicknamed Carolino after the returning from Guardia Civil training in the Carolines. Next is Makaraig, the leader. He is described as wealthy with his own coach, driver, and set of horses. Next is Sandoval, a peninsular who had come to Manila as a government employee and was finishing his studies and who had completely identified himself with the cause of Filipino students. Next is Pixon, the last character of the story, described as chubby, pessimistic, and have an annoying grin. He is Sandoval's regular foil when Sandoval launches into any kind of patriotic of domestic speech. So those are the characters of El Filibusterismo. So here's the theme of the story. El Filibusterismo addresses topics of great importance to the movement, namely clerical abuses, racism against the Filipino people, and the need of political reform. So that's all.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Once again, good morning, everyone. So, I am Lord, instructor for this topic. So, as a continuation for my topic last meeting, so we will proceed to the conversation. So as a sort of review until here, who can give me the only two characters in the story of Noli Tangere? Only two characters. Anybody? Who can give me only two characters in the story of Noli Tangere? Okay, Miss Julie. Okay, let's give a clap for Julie. How about the story of El Filibusterismo? Can you give two characters in the story? Yes, Miss Kitty, please stand. Yes. Okay, very good. Since we already identified who are the characters among the two stories, so let us proceed to the activity that was given to you last meeting. So sadly, there's no enough time to proceed. So now let's continue the story of Noli Tangere and El Filibusterismo. So now I want you to divide you into two groups. Then the other group will be assigned as the reader in the Noli Tangere, and the other one is in El Filibusterismo. So okay, let's count. Okay. Let's count. So let's count. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. The group 1 will stay here and the group 2 will stay here. Okay, and group 1 will be assigned in starting with the Tangere. And Alvili will be the group 2. And all you need to do is to read it carefully and identify the plan of the story. And you are going to choose one representative to discuss or to report it in front of the class. Okay, understood?
Yes.
Okay, here is your copy. Go to the Tangere. I want all your cooperations, guys. Give you 15 minutes to discuss your theory. If you can find answer unfamiliar words in the story, just ask me. Because I have here the meaning of those unfamiliar words. And the last, all you need to do is to choose a representative from your group, then he or she will discuss it in front of the class. But before that, I want you to have, I want you to create a yelling for as a representation of a support to your group or to your reporter. Okay? Are you ready? Okay, class, are you ready? Okay, I will give you 1 minute to create your yelling. Okay, I will start now. Okay, I want to all already, so let's proceed to our discussion or recording. So, let's start with the group 1. Go Jenny! Go Jenny! Go, go, go! Bagish na kayo! Okay na. So, let's proceed na.
Diagin si Ito, check.
Noli Tangere by Introduction. Juan Crisostomo Ibarra is a young Filipino who, after studying for 7 years in Europe, returns to his native land to find his father, a wealthy landowner, has died in prison as a result of a quarrel with the parish curate. From Franciscan friar named Padre Damaso, Ibarra is engaged a beautiful and accomplished girl, Maria Clara, the supposed daughter and only child of the rich Don Santiago de los Santos, commonly known as Capitan Tiago. The raising action of the story is, at the laying of the cornerstone for the new schoolhouse, a suspicious accident apparently aimed at Ibarra's life occurs, but the festivities proceed until the dinner, where Ibarra is grossly and wantonly insulted over the memory of his father by Fray Damaso. The young man loses control of himself and is about to kill the friar, who is saved by the intervention of Maria Clara. The climax of the story, Ibarra is excommunicated and Capitan Tiago, through his fear of the friars, is forced to break the engagement and agree to the marriage of Maria Clara with the young and offensive Spaniard provided by Padre Damaso. Ibarra succeeds in having the excommunication removed, but before he can explain matters, an uprising against the evil guard is secretly brought about through agents of Padre Salve, and the regime is described to Ibarra through him. The full action of the story is, on Christmas Eve, at the top of Ibarra's in a gloomy wood, Elias appears wounded and dying, to find there a boy named Basilio inside the corpse of his mother, a poor woman who had been driven to insanity by her husband's neglect and abuses on the part of the civil guard. Her younger son, having Page, disappeared sometime before in the convento, where he was as a priest. Basilio is ignorant of Elias' identity, helping to build a funeral pyre on which his corpse and the Magbulas are to be buried. Upon hearing of the reported death of Ibarra in the chase of the lake, Maria Clara becomes disconsolate and begs her supposed godfather, Fray Damaso, to put her in a nunnery and conscious of her knowledge of their true relationship. The friar breaks down and confesses that all the trouble he has steered after the Ibarra has been to prevent her from marrying a native, which would condemn her and her children to the oppressed and enslaved class. So the Roma is, he finally yields her entreaties and she enters the nunnery of Santa Clara and Saint Clara, to which Padre Salvi is soon assigned in a ministerial capacity.
What happened to Susumo Ibarra in the story? What happened to Susumo Ibarra in the story? He was trying to go by the civil guards. Okay, let's proceed to the group 2.
Noli Tangere, so in Noli Tangere, so we all know that soldiers. So, di ba that time, habang sa mga Tagalog, Spanish Tagalog, mga Espanyol, then that time, naka-skate na siya. So, yan ko siya in the other country, which na-rename siya into Simon. So, Simon is the nation of filthy and beach man. Then, kanang nakakait na siya of powers kaya syempre as stated in the story, that time pa lang na siya mas may para, iyang mga wealthies, kaya itong ikaluan. So that time na naka-skate na siya, then nagato siya into other country. Then after nakuha na niya, so moto ba, na siya wealth na nakuha na daan. Ikan sa unang kasi may para pa siya. Then after that, ibalik si Simeon sa Philippines, then wala kayo makailas na ihaso, moto ka, kung saan niya hapuhaton, mabuhat niya. Kaya lahat naman niya yung identity. So, si Simeon as a new Jesus to Guevara, yung target din ato is ang mga national mga partners together with others higher Spanish na either in a government kay national dumakaplan, which is first to say is nila Maria Clara na nasa Santa Clara na inakustody ni Santa Clara that time. Then second is para i-air siyang Pilipino na mabulaban sa mga Espanyol. Then, as the story begins, sa barkos, padulong si Simeon sa Philippines, nakasama niya dito si Doña Victorina and other characters that we can see in Filibusterismo to make the story short. Then after that, si Simeon is a very wealthy and mysterious man. So, nanap ko siya mga close friends na confidente na one of his position is Governor General. So because of the great influence, so of Ibarra, kailangan naman siya yung mga close friends na mga Spanish officials. So he was also called Brown Cardinal or Black Eminence. By using his own political influence, he started corruption ng government in which in a good way, no, para sa kanang way, makalikom sila o kanang something mali na gawin nila para sa ilang revolution action. So that time, si Sir Rizal nag-try siya of mga firearms from the Chinese. Then, Chinese merchant, siguro siya ang kiwalay kauganihan that time para gamitin lagi sa ilang pag-aasa laban sa mga Spaniards. Then that time, inis kayo mananadala sila na imbis na nanadala sa plano, but si Ibarra is nakadulong siya of bad news na si Maria Clara is namatay. So, ito ka, grabe niya upuan, syempre, kung mamatay pa naman, hindi naman kalabos sa kagana. So, ito nga, medyo nawala sa ano si Miguel sa iyong plan. Si Simeon sa iyong plan. Then, may broken agad siya. So, ito kami doon na-distract siya. But then, bisan mo na sa iyong mga mamasasing, he still continued to work out his plan para sa mga Espanyol. So, ito nga, nais ang ka-event, with ni Paulina Gomez and Anita Pines. Nila is, so that time na wedding is the time i-invite siya sa mga priests and mga officials, then also siya invited ko siya. Then after that, na siya ihatag kay Rizal, magkakasweet na sila. So, that time, ito ka, si Rizal, ito sa house ni Padre Valentino. So, you like this song? Sige, under, sa Sipion. So, nagkata siya sa Balay ni Valentino na dito, nagpirhanin sila in which dito nagkata si Sipion about kumita siya, at kanyang identity, then, ito nga, gamit ang siya, Rizal, so, ito nga, as naman siya open ka, sa kananda niya ang mga friends, din sa siya, ito nga, nalatay si Sipion.
Okay, thank you, reporters. So, are the plans of Mr. Simon Ibarra are successful? No, because of some reasons. Because of his friend also. So, because of love. It's all about love. Yes. So, namatay na lang na akong Paris, so namatay na lang. I think the story was being delivered well by the reporters. So, any questions, guys?
None so far.
So, if there's none, so that's all of my report. And thank you for listening.